Okay. Well, welcome to the Artist in Residence information session. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. This information session is really an opportunity to ask questions, but I do want to go over some of the basics of the programming that's offered and the residency that's offered this fall and winter. And then at the end, we'll take questions. You guys can feel free to ask questions as I go, but I will definitely leave time at the end as well. Hopefully, lots of the questions will be answered. And as a reminder, I also put this in the chat with the link to the application. They are due October 22nd, so you have a month from today to turn it in. That application, the actual form is at the bottom of that link. It's a Google form embedded in a website link, but all of the information shared tonight is also available online, and you guys can feel free to email me questions as well. I'll shoot my email into the chat box in a few minutes. So the Artist in Residency is part of AAP, which stands for the Artist Accelerator Program at the Art Center. AAP is a professional development program for emerging and or pivoting artists. AAP offers development opportunities throughout the year, including a lecture series that goes hand in hand with the residency, workshops, group critiques, Arts Alive, and more. We're always adding new things. AAP kind of has an annual schedule of the fall and winter being the lecture series and residency. Spring, we do a couple workshops or panel discussions. Arts Alive applications go live. And then in the summer and August, we have Arts Alive, and usually August, September residency applications are available. And then the cycle starts over. The artist residency differs from kind of AAP as a whole. It's an in-depth opportunity to artists wanting to create or pivot their art business. It includes additional education, studio space, and one-on-one coaching with me, as well as a cohort of individuals to bounce ideas off of and work together on similar businesses. So the artist residency, we have 4 to 5 residencies available this year. They are in the Art Center's basement. I'd like to mention that there's no elevator in the basement. If you don't need a studio space, I still encourage you to apply because you'll still have a cohort of people. You'll still receive the coaching, group critiques, and all of the coursework is still available. The cost is $800. That helps cover some of my time, some promotional materials, and then covers some of the lecture series talks as well. Let's see. Again, applications are due the 22nd. Artists residencies run November 3rd through February 11th, 2022. The last couple weeks of January and February of the residency are really kind of a wrap-up time. There isn't a ton of more coursework that ends kind of second to last week of January, and the last couple of weeks are really an opportunity to finish up your work for the exhibit that happens in February and March each year of the residency work that everyone did. It's a group show in our Corinne Woodman galleries. We take over both of them, so there is a pretty good amount of exhibition space. Obviously, it depends on the size of work and type of work people are creating. We have up to 5 residencies available. We have 1 to 2 painting or 2D. Really, that's a pretty flexible range of types of work. We have 2 ceramics. Both of those are able to fire up to cone 5.6. We generally don't fire higher than that, just because our kilns aren't really set up to do that. We have 1 to 2 open media residencies, basically that just means that whatever art form that takes can't require excessive ventilation, so nothing like metalsmithing or really anything with large amounts of fumes. We have had dance, writing, sculpture, and photography come through. So those are examples of what open media can be. We have a limited number of 50% scholarships available, which would drop the cost down to $400. That's provided through local donations and grant funding. We are encouraging traditionally underrepresented groups to apply this year in particular. That can be Black, Indigenous, Latinx, LGBT, et cetera, and those scholarships are also available to those people. Additional coursework, aside from the lecture series and then creating your own work, includes reviewing short and long-term goals throughout the residency. We will go over how to write an artist statement, edit those artist statements, and complete that for the exhibition. We'll review business model canvas, and I'll go into more details on that once the residency actually starts, but it's a common brief example of a business plan. We'll review CV and resumes and what that can look like for each individual. You will create promotional videos. Last year, those took form as resident-on-resident interviews, studio tours, things like that. Those examples can be found on our YouTube if you want to check that out. I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. And then we'll go through pricing your work and what really makes sense based on time, materials, and education. The application process is pretty simple, I like to think. You submit the application through our website form, and then you will send in, I believe I say 3 to 5 great images of your work, titled with a specific subject line so I can keep track of that when it comes into my email box. I do want to go over what 3 to 5 great images means. We don't have specific requirements of that. I put down suggestions because I want this to be accessible to as many people as possible. Great images tend to be larger files, high DPI and pixels. Usually it's around, I would say 5 to 10 megabyte file size. It can be more, absolutely. Those can be sent via Google Files, WeTransfer, things like Dropbox. Those are fine, I can access those. They should be cropped to the size of the artwork. It's helpful if you can put your name and a little bit of information in each of those file titles for me to keep track of. Really, it's a way to best show me your work in a 2-dimensional form or a virtual form. If that's writing, that's a totally different thing. Obviously, I don't need images of your writing. I need an example. If it's dance, a video would be great, but it needs to be a high quality video so that I have an understanding of what it is you're making and how you're making it. And I don't have to peek through fuzzy images to try and get a glimpse of that. Really trying to put your best foot forward with those images is the most helpful. Again, those applications are due October 22nd. You'll be notified really quickly by October 28th. We should have those results in. And then residency starts the following week, November 3rd. We'll have an orientation and go over more of the minute details, and then lectures start November 10th and run through mid to late January. I know this is a lot of information, but I can answer questions at the end unless somebody has something super pressing right now. Okay, I'll go on. Oop. Yes, okay. Lecture series, I've mentioned this. We run the lectures November 10th through January 12th. Most of these lectures will be on Zoom live. They'll be recorded if you can't make those. I do encourage you to watch all of them. For the residency, you're technically only required to make 75%, but with the recordings, it makes it a lot more accessible. If the times, which I'm about to tell you, don't work with your schedule. We run lectures on Wednesdays from 5:30 to 7. The start time is pretty specific. The end time is a little bit more flexible based on the lecture, but they generally go until 7. A couple of these lectures will be pre-recorded this round and available on the same dates, starting those same dates, and then available after that as well, but they won't be live. Lectures are open to the public for a small fee. Last year, I believe we did $60 for the lot of them, and then $10 per lecture if you only wanted to see a couple. They're a great way. We mix them up each time. Every single time I have a beginning business lecture, I will go over really the basics of kind of what an artist needs to start a business, what are important things to think about. And then we always have finances for artists, which is generally based around taxes and how to make that easier. And I always have a professional practices lecture as well. Professional practices goes into mostly for visual artists, CV, resume, kind of how to interact with galleries and exhibitions and how to best succeed in getting responses from them. And then I kind of mix it up in between that. This year, these are currently the listed lectures that we'll be going over. Self-promotion and marketing, making a plan and maintaining confidence, TikTok and social media, again, professional practices, finances for artists, and then basic website building. This isn't a complete how-to, but they do kind of get you started. You're able to ask people quite a number of questions, and then the coursework and group meetings and one-on-one coaching that we do in the background as residents influence and reference these lectures as well. I believe that's pretty much it. As I've mentioned, I think for the 100th time, applications are due October 22nd. Applicants are notified October 28th. Residency dates are November 3rd through February 11th. And exhibition dates for the end of residency exhibit are February 22nd through March 26th. Do like to mention that the exhibit dates are not firm right now. As we get closer to those dates, they will firm up, but they usually, or not usually, but they sometimes move a date or two based on what other exhibits are going on at the Art Center. With that, I will open it up to you guys. If you have any questions, I can answer them, I hope.
I have 2 questions.
Sure.
Yeah, the one is that the studio space is only the basement for right now available. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the highest scholarship is 400.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Claire, I sent you a PDF of images. So I will, if you'd like, I'll send you a few high quality images that are from that PDF. The PDF is obviously, it's pretty much just web quality. So I can send you some TIFF files of some images, if that's better for you.
Yeah, that would be great. It's always nice to just double check the quality, since I am not the only person who views the applications.
Okay, cool. I'll do that right after this.
Thank you.
Cool, thanks.
Leland, did you have a question?
Yeah, I know that you said that it was a fairly easy process, but for me, I think I really struggle with accessibility. Will there be help offered to, people with disabilities so that we can apply?
Sure. Are you able to either email me or call the Art Center to discuss what those accessibility requirements might be?
Great, thanks.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you.
Great, thank you very much.
Yeah, email is best for me because I'm not always in the office, but I know that Cynthia, the executive director, is there most days. And I'll stop sharing right now and put my email in the chat box. My goodness, Zoom has changed so much. Let's see. Okay, there you go. Are there any other questions?
That's it for me. Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Well, then I will stop this recording. I can figure out how. There we go.